Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. This terrifying mugshot has everyone talking, and for good reason. The man in this photo is only 33 years old, if you can believe it. His red eyes set inside a hollowed-out skeletal face smeared in some type of residue. It's a pretty good indication that this man is not well. Further digging by investigative journalist Andy No uncovered that Solomon Galligan is a registered sex offender who is identified as a transgender female in the past. The two go together like peas in a pod at this point. And what is Galligan alleged to have done in order to get this latest mugshot? Well, once again, it doesn't take a genius to see the pattern here to make an educated prediction. Galligan was arrested Friday and booked on charges in connection with the attempted abduction of an elementary school boy. Authorities say a group of kids were playing Friday afternoon in a field outside their elementary school in Aurora, Colorado, when Galligan allegedly approached them and tried to snatch one of the children. Thankfully, he lost his hold on the kid when the group scattered, yelling "stranger danger," and they found a trusted adult who called the cops. Galligan is said to have smelled like alcohol and to have tripped over the blanket he was carrying. No found posts from Galligan going back to 2011 on Facebook, in which reportedly he posted, quote, "So I'm starting my hormone shots and I really can't wait. I'm on my hormone pills. I've been on them for almost 4 months. I wake up all depressed and crying, but in the end, it's gonna be totally worth it. You know what I mean? I'm really excited. My measurements are already changing and I'm super thrilled," end quote. Is this yet another case of a very mentally unwell man being made even more so by a strange concoction of drugs and hormones and then released back onto an unsuspecting populace? It wouldn't be the first time, that's for sure. And before someone makes the objection, yes, crazy bad people do exist in every demographic, but they do exist at a disproportionate rate within the trans community. And even worse still, with all of their institutional support by the leftist regime in power, those who are most vulnerable to their predations, like women and children, have to bite their tongues and share spaces with these men until something truly horrible happens, even when it all could have been prevented. Joining us now to discuss is Tyler O'Neill, the managing editor of the Daily Signal. Tyler, thanks for being here tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Karen.
Great. So on first blush, on first read through, what's your reaction to this really insane and scary and bizarre story?
Yeah, I mean, it is scary, bizarre, and insane. But you know what we see again and again with these cases is that some of these people who identify as transgender actually pose a threat to those around them. And we have to, I mean, there was a case, and I mean, this one is a small taste of what another case I wrote about last year, where there was a man who identified as transgender, and he called up churches threatening to bomb them and to go into their bathrooms and rape the daughters of the Christians in these churches. And it's just like, I understand. I don't think that all people who identify as transgender pose a threat. That's not the point. The point is that we're kowtowing to an ideology that pushes people further, makes them more unhinged. And what we're seeing here is that there are threats who either masquerade as transgender or in order to get access to these spaces, or who are just very angry. They're driven by an ideology that leads them to see themselves as the victims and our society as oppressing them when our society won't kowtow to their demands. And look, there are people who are really struggling there, and I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush, but what you have in the transgender movement is these demands for society to open the floodgates, to allow biological males in women's spaces that will make women more vulnerable in those close proximities. And we've seen, men who have been in prison and they claim to identify as women, and then they go to women's prisons and they prey upon the women in the women's prisons. And it's just like, there is a level of insanity here that our society has embraced.